Unsolicited advice.
Okay.
All right, everybody, we're back. It's 11:30. We left you off at 4:40. So that's about how long a restaurant shift is. While we were working, I had a fun thought that was interesting because I was thinking about things that make me feel uncomfortable. For example, like if I was dating somebody and I didn't feel comfortable with them off doing their own thing while I was sitting home alone.
Yeah.
How I should feel okay with that. I should feel comfortable with that, but I don't yet.
Okay.
So here's where the messy middle begins, is that like I have now practiced self-awareness, but just because I know the issue, like some of the most self-aware people I know refuse to fix their issues. Like,
interesting.
Like I'm a bitch. Like I'm just going to be a bitch. And I'm sorry that I'm a bitch, but I'm a bitch. So I'm just going to be a bitch. And now that I'm saying I'm a bitch, it almost makes it okay that I'm being this way.
I hate that. Okay, go on.
So do I.
Go on.
But that's the extreme example.
Okay.
But the self-awareness of, oh, this was hard when this person did this. So it's kind of like self-awareness is the first step, but actually practicing fixing the behavior is probably a lot harder. And what I'm saying right now is that I don't know if I've done a lot of the practicing because I've only been aware of some issues recently and haven't had the opportunity to practice.
So I was reading this book called, what was it called? It was called From Good to Great. And so that's the second book that I had read this year. Okay. And so what it talks about is beginning to turn the flywheel, and like turning it is the hardest part, or beginning turning it is the hardest part. And so each step builds on the last, right? And it's literally true. And hearing somebody say it, or like sometimes you just need it to be put in perspective, and you need to hear somebody else say it. Even though if you know it, it's always great to hear it reinforced by somebody else, by that external source. And so it's talking about getting the ball rolling. And you need to take that first step. And it's going to be hard. It's never easy to get something started.
Is first step self-awareness or is first step?
First step.
What's the first step?
First step is recognition. Recognition of whatever you want to fix. So like self-awareness is a pretty big token to ask of somebody who, and I would argue that, I don't know, if somebody said, to go back to your example, if somebody said they were a bitch and just said, I'm just going to be this way because I am this way, and made no effort to change it, are they self-aware? I mean, if they can't change their behavior, are they self-aware? Because they just remain in the same patterns that fuels them. And they're like,
well,
wow.
That's what I'm saying is the challenging part, because self-awareness is just that. It's being aware. But if I'm aware that, the trash is full, but I don't take it out, do you know what I mean?
It sounds like you're aware in the vaguest sense of the word aware. And so, without getting too bogged down by these definitions,
in the vaguest sense of aware.
Yeah, it's a very broad. It sounds like you're using it in like a broad stroke, whereas like being aware is like being cognizant of like a specific set of ideals and aiming to impact those ideals because you can.
Yes.
Not saying that you can't do anything about it, because that's not self-awareness. If you say that you can't do anything about it.
But to quote Rush.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Rush.
All right.
Making a choice and not making a choice. Not making a choice is still making a choice.
Not making a choice is still making a choice
so
when you're
I've
aware that
become
you're
aware.
not making the choice.
Right. And the person, and I feel bad. I want to reset slightly, because
Okay.
I used an example with somebody specifically in mind who is a woman who has said, I'm a bitch, I'm going to continue to be a bitch. That was that. There are men who do this. There are dogs who do this. There are fish who just choose to be dicks all the time. I'm not saying just... I want to paint broad strokes. I don't want to just say women do this, because men do it too. And men
oh
all
my
the time.
God, all the time.
All the time.
I've definitely seen that.
That's why I like ass. Well, because
What?
ass and being an ass and being a bitch are different things.
I like ass as well.
Shut
But what
the
does that have to
fuck
do?
What I'm saying is that I just don't want this to be like I'm painting just that women do this. I'm saying that
Yeah.
anybody can be self-aware.
No, for sure.
But like the act, not choosing to be aware of it.
Yeah.
I choose to be a jerk every day.
Yes.
I know I'm a jerk.
Okay.
I'm going to maintain to be a jerk
Okay.
because I've gotten to a lifestyle where I like being a jerk.
Okay.
That is awareness. But it's also awareness not to change it.
It's awareness to not change it, but to know that you can change it. If somebody says, I'm going to be a bitch, or I'm going to be a dick, or I'm going to be an asshole, or whatever kind of euphemism you want to use, and they say, I am this way, I've always been this way, and therefore I just am. I'm never changing. Like, that is not being self-aware, because being self-aware is saying that being self-aware is saying that you know you can change
your actions.
You
But
know
you choose not to.
Yeah, but you choose not to. What they're saying is sounds tantamount to.
I think you're making your own definition of self-aware because self-aware is just awareness.
Yeah,
The act of changing is the next step.
Are they self-aware? Because there's different stages of being. It sounds like there's different stages of being self-aware. Then in that case,
I wouldn't even say that. I'd say self-awareness.
yeah.
I'd say in the development of a human being, it goes self-awareness,
Okay.
working on those things to change them in the way that you want to. Some people could make the decision, I won't need to be more, like say you honestly thought the only way to get ahead in this world was to be more manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
You would consciously be self-aware of, oh, I wasn't manipulative enough here. I'm going to do this now to become more manipulative,
Ah,
to
man.
be a snake. It doesn't, you're attaching too much of this like self-development.
Yeah, because that's part of it. That's part of being self-aware is that you realize you can't be the same person. You can act like you want to be the same person, but it takes actual effort to be the same person.
All
because
the time?
all the time.
If
absolutely.
you're self-aware.
If you're self-aware, because it's weird. You have to realize that there's change that happens with literally every single person. And so every day, and we were talking about this earlier, is that every day you're changing by your experience. And you weren't the same person you were 10 minutes ago,
Right.
let alone 10 days ago.
True.
And so saying that I am this person and I am going to do this.
Is
and
an act of
I'm-
not self-awareness.
And saying that like I am this person, I've always been this person, and I just can't change it, that is not self-aware. That is the illusion of self-awareness. That is being
Okay. I like that. The illusion of self-awareness. It's not actually self-awareness.
Because self-awareness is knowing that you can change and that you
are changing.
are changing
And
all
that
the time.
sometimes you are, yeah, okay. I like that.
And you kind of just float down the river without noticing that you're being taken by the river itself.
Let's make a term for that. I don't know if we're allowed or smart enough to.
What's
but
that?
It's 11:30 on a Sunday, and I don't think there are rules anymore. And also, we've been like floating around with these ideas in our head all day that we started on earlier.
Oh my
so
God,
At
yeah.
this point, it's just kind of like, let's go out there. Let's make terms.
Oh my
What
God.
is it called? What is that person called then?
What do you mean?
The person who is locked in their mindset that they're
Oh,
an unaware person.
no, it's just
non-self-aware.
a willing participant in the facade of everyday life
A
that
sheep,
you
a
can't.
cog,
Yeah, I
a
mean,
sheep.
a sheep, a cog. It sounds so dirty, and yeah, it is. It just sounds so
Dirty.
like so harsh.
Okay.
Like
It
so
sounds-
grimy.
Well, yeah.
dirty
no,
and grimy in the grimy sense.
Yeah.
Not like
dirty.
Yeah.
Not in the
and
sexy sense.
definitely not in the sexy sense.
But no, so
Nothing
I see what
sexy
you're s-
about
I
somebody
see what-
not wanting to change.
I see what you're saying is that like sheep has a very negative, a very strong connotation to it,
Yeah.
and it sounds like something nobody would want to be.
Nobody wants to be that. And like think about it. Think about the time you saw somebody who was just a sheep and you're like, God, do you think when you do anything? And it's like, man, what are the everyday thoughts that go through your mind where you're just so okay with being mediocre that like you just float by as if like nothing, I don't know, as in you just take everything and take it as word, you know? And so like you follow the rules, work this average job, grind by, And there's nothing wrong with that if you know that that is what you want to do. And let's say you're raising a family. There's literally nothing wrong with that. And
Well, because at that point, the career, and I think this is something that we millennials get twisted a little bit
Yeah.
because we're more intrinsically focused than our generation above us, who was more expected to have a child by our age,
okay.
right? Like, my parents waited a while to have kids, but, like, a lot of kids, like, you know what I mean? Some people by 24, 27
Mm-hmm.
were already having kids
I just
in the previous generation. And there still are people now, but I think, like Jake Gerald, right? He doesn't seem work. He sees work as an ends to a means. I'm going to work to provide for my family, which is where I get value.
as an ends to a mean.
Means to an ends.
Okay.
Excuse me. He sees it as a means to an ends.
Okay.
Been a long day.
That's
Means
fair.
to an ends. He sees it as, I'm going to work,
Yeah.
and he'll be happy that we shot him up. Hi, Jake. No, you're listening, buddy. Love you,
Jake.
dude. Wish you were here today.
That'd be fun. We should do. Oh man, we
Yeah,
should
we're
definitely
gonna bring
do.
it back so he can be on it.
Oh
too.
my god.
I'm gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna provide for my family. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have fun with my wife. I'm
Yeah.
gonna raise the shit out of this kid that he's about to have.
Okay.
He's gonna be a great dad and a great husband, and he's gonna supply his family with the things they need through the job that he can get the best he can do. Whereas me and you, I think, maybe
Mhm.
think, and I'm sure he wants career fulfillment and all those things, but I think me and you are more driven that way, to where I want to do something more grandiose with my job life.
Yeah. Ah, man, I don't know, because now it's just like thinking about my previous statement. It kind of sounded a little dickish, and like it sounded a little non-understanding.
Bye, buddy.
And so we'll
Have a
see.
good
bud.
night.
And so I guess being a sheep or a cog, sometimes there are things that like that you.
I don't think Jake Gerald is a sheep or a cog.
No, I'm not saying
Dude
that he
is
is. I'm not saying.
definitely-
I'm literally not saying that he is.
He's
I was
yeah,
cutting
right.
off on a different tangent. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I know.
If I didn't
I know, but I'm
clarify
just saying is that, like, I don't think.
Okay.
I think Jake Gerald is more aware
Yeah.
than me or you are
Yeah.
about what he really wants.
I mean, I can't be more aware of anybody else's thoughts than they are.
Well, no, I think he's more aware than we are of what he like. Versus, like, if you put it on a scale
Yeah.
of who know, or like a chart of a race, who's winning the race, I think he's more ahead of awareness than me and you are.
Of awareness of what, though? What are you comparing it to? Why? Like, you can never be. I can't compare my awareness to you. I don't know what you know. You know what I mean? Like, that's just,
Sure, but if you were comparing,
that's
but
such a
then you
sub-
can't call anybody a sheep.
Yeah. And that's the thing is
Well,
that
what do you mean? We just did.
I know, but to me, yeah, and it's weird because I can't call anybody a sheep and have that an objective truth. You know what I mean? But subjectively, to me, it seems as though that person's just sheep.
I
And
think,
they're always-
so I'm
because
just going to
that's
straight up disagree with you.
Literally,
There are
the only
people,
frame of reference we have is
no, because
ourselves.
there are definitely people who are just sitting in the back of a truck, riding through life, and every time they get somewhere, they stick their head up and they're like, "Oh, I'm here." There are definitely people living their lives that way, and that's not. I
Yeah, but
disagree with you.
Who
I
are
think
you? Who are you to criticize their life or their way
I'm
of
not
living?
criticizing it. I don't think it's a problem. Me and you have both stated we don't think it's a problem,
I
but
feel
I
like there's
do
an
think
inherent-
there's a
yeah.
level of awareness.
There is a level of
I think there's the
awareness.
person in the back of the truck. I think there's a person in the back seat. I think there's a
Mhm.
person in the passenger seat, and then I think there's somebody driving.
That's fair.
And the driver is the most aware.
Yeah. Are they? I mean, we're kind
fucking
of
hope
all.
so.
Yeah, you. That's what I'm saying is that if you aren't in the driver's seat, of which nobody's always in the driver's seat. Sometimes you want to take a back seat.
No, and then there's actually like different long chunks of life where sometimes you're in the back seat and sometimes you're in the trunk and some not trunk.
The trunk. Oh goddamn! This got
Tailgate.
real.
Tailgate.
All right.
Maybe
all
sometimes
right.
there isn't in your trunk.
Oh, wow.
No, but when you're in a tailgate or when you're in the back seat or when you're in the passenger seat or when you're in the driver's seat,
Okay.
through life, that is the levels of awareness you're going through.
Yeah.
So to bring it back, now that we have like a little comparison table, I think Gerald is in the driver's seat and
Okay.
me and you are in the passenger seat.
But sometimes I like being in the driver's seat. Does that make? Or sorry, sometimes I like being in the passenger seat.
Sometimes
And
I like
just-
being in the tailgate
if
and just
I'm-
showing up somewhere and like, oh, now I'm here.
I mean, I kind of want to see. First off, I kind of want to see what it's like to be in the trunk. But to say back in the passenger seat, I am sometimes I like to go on other people's adventures. You know what I mean? And so like there's these adventures that what? Say it.
You're not. No. What
Say
I'm
it.
saying is that we're the driver.
Yeah.
We are the passenger. We
Yeah.
are in the back seat, and we are in the trunk.
You're saying
We're
we're all
in
of
the
them
tailgate.
at the same time.
No, we're not all of them at the same time, but sometimes we're choosing
Yeah.
to be more of one than the other. So yes, we are all of them at the same time
Yeah.
because it's our life, it's
Yeah.
our experience. Sometimes we are very present and
Okay.
aware driver.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're in the back seat and we just are looking out the window. Sometimes we're in the passenger seat, and then sometimes we're in the tailgate, just like popping up our head. And here we are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I do. And so you're saying basically they just float along through life being given directions by other people and not really taking and
They
so
don't
if
even
they
know.
live,
They're not even looking ahead at the end of the. They're looking behind them.
well, see, here's the thing. So sometimes if let's take socioeconomic status into play here.
Sure.
Sometimes people literally don't have
A choice.
a choice. Well, yeah, they don't have a choice, and they don't have the capability to have foresight. Like they can't look ahead.
Because they have to look day to day.
They literally have to work day to day.
Yeah.
And to an extent, like that's what that's part of like what I grew up in. It was like my mom was like
Hand 'em out.
fucking struggling to keep us
Single
afloat,
mother.
but she was a champion and just like
But
worked through that shit.
don't
you know what I mean?
think? I mean, granted, she was struggling to keep you afloat.
Yeah.
But don't you think?
Yeah.
She was incrementally maybe saving the little bit that she could to maybe get you a new pair of shoes when you needed it, or get you.
Oh, absolutely. And
So
but,
she was thinking ahead.
but that's the thing is that it's hard to do that. Think about when she's just thinking about like a couple months into the future of like Christmas or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
She was.
that's
probably
hard
thi-
enough. So like
No,
thinking years ahead.
I know. No, she was thinking about Christmas. As soon as last Christmas ended, she was thinking about Christmas again. I bet you.
I would not doubt that. And so like, oh man, the most important woman in my life is my mom by far.
Yeah, mine
you
too.
know, and my sisters. And so
I don't have a sister. I wish I had sisters.
do you?
I don't know.
I feel like really?
How much longer you got?
I'm done.
Are you
you're
done? Well, boss is done, and so they're
Okay.
gonna lock up third. So that means we're
Yeah,
done.
I guess we're done. That was interesting.
No, we don't need any time.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I mean, we can. Yeah,
We can just end it.
this is.
I'll do a lap and check everything, and then I'll go lock up the office, and I'll walk back here.
I
Oh, I
appreciate
love
that.
it.
She's gonna give us a
love
lap
it.
and a locking of the office to wrap up.
All right. in
Thanks,
that case-
Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And so
And Strong Ray.
I'm gonna
Take it away, boss.
Okay. And so I don't know. Being self-aware, it's hard because you can't always be self-aware. Sometimes I really want to zone out, and after like a hard day of work, I just want to sit down and do nothing. But sometimes I don't have the ability to do so because I know that the next day, as soon as I falter, that only leaves me less of a chance to get to where I want to go. And so I always have to be on the ball. And so this goes back to where we're talking about being at an 8 or 10. And it's like, we got to fuel the fire all the time. And we got to keep the logs going. I want to get there. And you know what I mean? If you want to be great, you have to be great. That's it. That's literally it.
I think that's it. I do like that, and I do agree. But I think that to say you'll be there all the time
Mm-hmm.
is going to definitely be a challenge. I think that also you need rest.
You do.
So I like to check out, watch The Office, watch anime, watch a cartoon, do something, play a
Mhm.
board game with friends. I think there is times to check out, but I think that the difference between good to great, isn't that the name of the book you read?
A good to great.
Good to great.
Yeah.
The difference between good to great
Yeah.
is that you're willing to stay in the driver's seat for maybe a little bit longer. Not by much, but if you just stay in the driver's seat a little bit longer, you'll literally be good to great.
But that's the thing is like, there's also, it's not just becoming good to great, because great, you can always fall from greatness. You know what I mean? Because once you're great, I mean, you can always, if you want to be literal about it, you can go to fantastic and crazy and all this like other stuff. But if you consider great to be the highest level, you can always fall.
That's what happens to boxers. It's hard to run 10 miles in silk sheets.
Yeah.
Once you come out of the ghetto, and once you come out of the ghetto punching people, and you get there, it's hard to maintain the drive.
there's nowhere to go but down. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to stay there.
Yeah.
And
But
like,
you're not up there yet.
I know exactly, but it's getting there. And it's knowing that once I'm there, I'm staying there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, at least for a good while,
As long as you can.
is the plan. Exactly. And so you have, especially now, like this is prime time. I've spent the last year being in the passenger seat and just, not really, but a little bit. And so like traveling the world and being on my own.
See, those all sound like things that are huge all sound like driver's seat decisions.
But it was such a lax driver's seat. It was like a casual drive on the countryside overlooking the sea.
Of Japan. You went to Japan. You worked 70 hours a week from the day I met you.
Yeah, that's fair.
From when did you start 70 hours a week working?
Oh man, I don't know.
June?
It was probably no.
May?
Oh my God, no. Jesus, that would be way too many hours. Way too long. I know Thomas is a champion. I don't know. I'm gonna shout him out because he works like a champ.
Thomas is the hardest working individual I've ever seen with my face.
I am inspired by that fucking work ethic. It's insane.
It definitely gets to him.
It's insane. That
Thomas, call out. It definitely gets to you a little bit.
Oh my God.
I can tell.
I will, dude. Yeah, but that is he's strong, dude. You can just see it. You know what I mean? Like mentally, he's strong, and you have to be if you're working 70+ hours per week consistently. I worked it for a month maybe, and then just like it was so hard on me. Where like I didn't have to. I was so tired at one point. I don't know if I told you this. I was so tired. I finally had a Friday, and I was like, all right, I'm taking this. I'm going to the club. I'm gonna have fun with my friends because they finally invited me out, and like not finally invited me out, but like I finally had time to go out with them. Yeah, and so I fell asleep at the club, and it was like 12 o'clock. I didn't even think I made it to midnight, and I fucking fell asleep. And after having 4 beers, and they called me an Uber. I don't even remember going home. I was so tired. I was just obliterated.
See, that's what I'm saying is rest is necessary.
It is necessary, for sure. And you got to know your limits and know when to push them and how long you can endure that. But I think over this past year of after I graduated and traveled the world, I know a lot more. I don't think I know. I know a lot more about my limits and sustaining myself.
Which is something that I love and I think might be a good place to end it. The best advice, and she's in here right now, the best advice I've ever heard about your 20s is work as much as you can because you'll never be able to work as much as you can in your 20s. Yeah. And you should just, like, why not try 70 hours a week for a month and just see what that does?
Fuck you up. Real bad. It'll fuck you up. If you want to get fucked up and fall asleep at the club 70 hours a week, that's really what you're aiming for.
Thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks for listening,
guys. Do you want
to
say hi?
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Do you want to say hi to Em?
Do it.
Hi, Em.
No, come here.
Wait. Say it directly into the microphone.
Yeah,
Why
say
am I
it.
saying hi to Em?
Put the headphones on Elizabeth. She'll love it.
Hello to whoever you want.
She'll love it.
What do I say?
My noise,
say hello.
my voice is so nasally.
Yeah.
No, talk into the microphone.
Yeah,
What am I saying?
You're saying.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
That's what you're
It's
saying.
kind of weird.
It's kind of cool, right? You have a great voice for the radio.
Thank you.
Yours sounds way better than mine right now.
I know.
Oh.
I'm humble. It's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Say hi to just the third in Hollywood.
Hi, Team Third.
And whoever else listens to it. Say hi to my mom. Hopefully she'll listen to this one.
Hi, Jacob's mom.
She listens to some of them.
That's good.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder what your mom's like.
What's your mom's name?
Danielle.
Hi, Danielle.
Ray asked what my mom's like. My mom is wonderful and lovely and beautiful and strong-willed and hard-headed and ADD'd and very much like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just cooler because she's my mom.
This is really fun. I like
is
this.
fun.
Yeah.
It's sweet. It's addicting with the headphones.
When do I get interviewed?
You can come on next weekend when I'm on a double again.
Okay.
Okay. All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening.
See you tomorrow.
I'm not always right. I'm only trying to be nice with my unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice.